Welcome to the Architect of Resilience podcast, where we explore the secrets of overcoming life's challenges and unlocking unstoppable strength through deep personal conversations and expert insights.
Welcome to the Architect of Resilience. That's the podcast for you. And I say for you because that is really the intent of this podcast, is to have deep, meaningful conversations diving into different aspects around resilience. Resilience of body, mind, soul, business. Doesn't matter whether it's physiology or depression. We're going to tackle it all. So really excited today to have our guests, Joe and Ollie from Mackey Clamps, here with us to talk about, well, resilience of barbells and plate staying on barbells, actually, which is, if anybody watches my videos from way back in the day, know this is quite a problematic issue, and in fact creates a lot of emotion when it goes wrong. It is not an enjoyable experience. So yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so dynamic duo here. Not sure who's Batman and who's Robin, but we've got Joe Mackey, who is, he's got an interesting background, being an IFBB pro, an entrepreneur. We've got our Olympic lifter and our mass monster today, positioned to dwarf his. Actually, I moved the cameras around to take that out. We did original setup that was like the whole bodybuilder all the way in front, but Ollie, really great engineering background in addition to the Olympic lifting. So
thank you. I'm trying to use my hands to push my muscles out, you know, so when I'm sitting next to Joe, I don't look too small, you know.
Perfect. You know all the tricks, man.
Yeah, I wore a long sleeve shirt too.
The other thing, so Ollie, if you're driving a car, you know, that's where you roll the window down and look really big. You got the arm on the window and you just kind of push it in like that. Yeah, yeah.
That's true. Absolutely. That's how you do it.
I know you know. Any gearhead knows this trick, right?
100%. 100%. That's like if someone's acting crazy on the freeway or whatever, I've had that happen too. Like someone get next to me after I accidentally cut them off, or we're going back and forth, and just roll the window down, hang the arm out, and they're like, oh okay.
Yeah, so it's not... For listeners, it's not to just like hang the arm out. You gotta like give it the good side smush that, and it'll blow up, and your veins will stick out. Like
absolutely,
you got all the money there.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. So let's just start talking about, I guess, the introduction. Like, what brought about you guys? Well, first, just coming together.
Yeah. Well, I'll start it off. I think it's cool you just said that this was a problem in regards to like when you were lifting, which I'm not trying to say that was long ago. How many years ago was that when you were in the...
Oh my God. I lifted from competitively from 2000 till 2016, and then heavy until 2020.
That's crazy. So that's cool. That's interesting information, actually. So, I mean, when we brought the, and I'll get back to the whole, how we were talking about this on a plane up here from Dallas, how we met, and I'll let him tell you as far as that goes. But matter of fact, start off.
I pause it for just a second. So make sure you're speaking into the mic. So either when you're talking to me, move it that way, or just like speak into it, because it doesn't matter that you're looking at me.
Okay.
Cameras are here.
Cool.
So
just go. More like,
just make sure you're facing this and don't care where you're looking.
Okay, sweet.
So talk directly into the microphone.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna hit go. All right.
So yeah, we were. I'll let Ali actually talk to you about how we met, and I'll just say from the beginning, Ali and I were friends. We were at the gym. We always, every time I came to the gym, I was always serious. If I happened to, I could always feel someone staring at me or looking at my direction. I would look over, and sure enough, it was Ali.
He's giving you the googly eyes right now. So just so you know, he's look, we got him on camera. He's still doing it. So tell us, Ollie, tell us the story how that started.
Go ahead, Ollie.
Yeah, it's a pretty funny, interesting story, and it's a very Joe Mackey like story. So I'm me being an Olympic lifter. I spend a lot of my time doing rehab work, just from having tight muscles and the crazy stuff that we do. And I I was doing foam rolling just on the mat at Destination Dallas, the gym that we work out at. And, you know, I'm in the zone. I'm thinking about my sets, what I'm going to do. I'm rolling out my right lat. And I just could have sworn that I saw a black panther or a black cat walking by me. And you know, it broke my focus. And I turned around and I was like, what is that? And when I took a second look, I saw that it was Joe Mackey's calves.
Not him, but
yeah,
his calves.
It was just his calves. Like, and it was just like he was walking by me, you know, because doing his thing, and then it was like a swoosh, and I was like, "Wow, what was that?" And then I think that's the first time we met, and that's how we got introduced to each other.
Yeah. I was walking in the gym, and Ali actually comes up to me, and I'm being serious every time I go to the gym, of course, and about to get mentally focused to lift. I don't know what body part I was doing, but here comes Ali. I look to my right, and Ali's coming with this look on his face, and I take my headphones out. I'm like, "What's up, Ali?" And he's like, "How'd you get your calves like that?" I'm like, "Ali, like, I mean, training them, you know." And but we always just had this natural friendship, just, you know, talking. Of course, you know, I asked Ali what he did for a living. He told me about his background in engineering, and I told him what I did, you know, at the point. I think I was just obviously talking about different businesses I was involved in and that I was doing, of course. So we always had mutual respect for one another. And fast forward to how we kind of start really putting things together. But I don't recall what weight I was at that point, but I just remember Ali, every video that I posted of either a heavy lift or heavy squat or mostly heavy deadlifts, he always would have something crazy to say in the comments. And
that's when you know the match is made in heaven, when you got the right commentary person, you know, accentuating your life. You're like, there's something here.
Yeah, big time. And it's like, and I've heard every joke. You know, I've been places, and I've, you know, had people come up to me and say, I don't know. I mean, we've all heard it. We're like, "Oh, how much are the tickets?" And I'm just like, yeah, the gun show, right? I know. But the comments I would see, you know, Ali would post sometimes. I would read it. I would just like, oh my gosh, like, it would be unique. So, and I was at that point, obviously, I was already getting into the groove with deadlifting and lifting heavy, of course, and I was getting frustrated. And surprisingly, I'll get to the story here pretty soon, but it was getting to a point to where anytime I would do some good weight, let's say, I remember one time I did 500 pounds, because I think before I recall seeing somebody did it for like 500 pounds for maybe 15 reps. And I was always the type to see something and think, well, I'm going to do more. So I remember doing 495, 500 pounds for 20 reps, and I was able to do it. But throughout the set, the weight was shifting. And I had already seen, prior to lifts that I've done, catastrophe happen, because I don't remember what weight it was, but I was probably doing maybe like 700 pounds for reps. And of course, I have a couple of videos on our Mackey Innovations page to where I was doing the set, and the clamps came off. You can see the weight already loosening mid set. And I knew it was just a matter of time. And then obviously the clamps fell, then the weights come off, and then, you know, you're tipping each side of the bar, and it's just like you said. Don't
know anything about it. Never.
Oh man, it was like you just want to put the weight back on because you're so frustrated. And I remember people being with me. I was like, man, put the fucking weight back. So we curse. I was like,
it's all right.
All right, put the weight back on. And like, no, like, you know, and it would just ruin obviously the set, you know, from these clamps failing. And I still need to go back and find this person, honestly, because there was a comment, and it wasn't Ali. It was a comment in the comment section on one of my posts where the clamps fell off, and an individual said, "You should just create your own clamps."
Yes.
And I was like, wow.
That is that's the mother. It's like you're out there, you're a businessman, and I do want to spend a bit of time about talking about the trials and tribulations of being, you know, in business and trying to start a company. Everybody wants to focus on all the highs and the stories that you want to tell, but it's not easy business, right? Now, you can sit there as an entrepreneur trying to find that, you know, seek that thing, but sometimes things just come in.
Yep.
Right. I mean,
well, and that's the when we talk about the success of this company, how things have grown, that's the, like, I get goosebumps talking about it because that's the crazy thing about it. So it literally struck in my head, and at that time, because it was that comment that I wrote, that I read, to where it was at that point to where I was like, you know what? I don't know how, it wasn't even about business. It was just like, that's a solution
it's a problem.
It's a problem, exactly. And that's a great point. A great mentor of mine always told me, if you ever think of wanting to do something, whether it's business or whatever the case is, find a problem. When you find a solution, you're winning. Okay. So that's always stuck with me. Now, at that point, I remember I reached out to a friend of mine. He actually is a friend that builds my cars, my motors, did a lot of performance on my car. He initially was the first person I went to with this idea that I had in my head. And I went to him and I said, hey, you know, I want to build this clamp. Here's the problem. Here's what I needed to do, the whole nine. And we talked about it. And we literally talked about it for maybe a week or two, and it kind of started going a little dead as far as that goes. And it was on a Thursday or Friday, like 2 weeks had went by, and I received a message on Instagram, and it was good old Ali. I opened the message up, and Ali sends me a message saying, hey, Joe, I've been thinking. He said, I've been watching your videos, and I think it would be great if we came together and created the world's strongest clamp. And I was like, dude, I didn't even tell him. I was like, this is crazy. I didn't even tell him, but the first thing I told him was, let's talk about it. I said, let's meet up ASAP and let's do it. And he said, okay, when do you want to meet? I said, tomorrow. And we met at the gym, and that was on a Saturday. You must message me on Friday because we met on Saturday morning. So Saturday morning comes, and I'm thinking, obviously, you know, we're just going to sit and talk about it, or talk about, you know, the direction we can go. No. I remember sitting, we were at Destination, we met at the gym, and Ali comes in with this folder of material. And
you got an engineer on your hand, brother. This is good. Yeah, this is. He's ready.
100%. 100%. I was blown away, and you know, I probably even tried to play it off a little bit, but I looked at it, and in my head, I'm thinking, what the hell? Like, it was detail after detail after detail, spec after spec after spec, design after design after design, and it was that day to where we talked. And at the end of the conversation, I didn't even have to think about it. I stood up.
Hey, it's meant to be. There's what to talk about.
Oh, 100%. I stood up. I said, let's get started.
All right.
And I got so much more to say. So I'll let Ali, obviously.
Yeah. Ali, how long were you working on this project, though, before?
So that is a good question. You know, as an engineer, I worked in the oil service industry, and in the oil service industry, everything we do is kind of round. And the barbell clamp has been something that's been on my mind as an engineer for a while because, like Joe said, they fail or they do pretty good, and because they're made out of different materials like rubber, they wear out. And so I've had that idea in my mind to make my own barbell clamp. But I just didn't know how to get started and what it should be. And after seeing Joe do his deadlifts and the way the bar was failing and the plates were falling off, it became obvious that it needs to be the mat clamp, you know.
Naturally.
Yeah, and you know, Joe was on his, and still is on his way to deadlift 1,000 pounds. And that was going to be... fist bump right there, Joe.
Oh,
yeah,
there you go.
That's it.
And that was going to be a great match because he couldn't get to that 1,000 pounds because his volume would be cut short from the plates falling off, and the clamps did make a difference in his training, and I'm sure in other people's training as well who've purchased the clamp. But back to your question is how long have I been working on it? I've had the concept in my head for years. And you know, as the mad scientist yourself, you come up with ideas, and there's not enough time to write it down or create a prototype, but you have the vision in your head and you can see the clamp or the product that you want to develop, and you just needed that little bit of push and a little bit of coincidence, which Joe and I had to make the next product.
Yep.
That's an interesting conversation, because I get hit that question quite a bit. Like, how long did it take from the first time you had the idea to product realization? I'm like, oh, that one, 10 years, 6 years. Like, they're like, what? I'm like, these don't happen overnight. You know, they're ideas that generate, and sometimes, it takes quite a long time to percolate into reality. And even so, a lot of times they're just solutions, at least in my world, because, having a manufacturing background, being able to make a solution and be using it in my gym for years, and then go, maybe other people might be interested in this.
Yeah.
Now, my solution for the weights falling off the bar, which I'm well versed in, I think that's my most watched video ever, is a squat that just the weights are falling over. Although I think it saved me at the end of the day from the spotter malfunction. But tons of, you'll watch my videos with bands strapped around the weights and like all this. And my 1,000-pound deadlift bar, I custom made. Like it was a Texas deadlift bar center. And then I extended the sleeves so that I would have more working area. So I have, a singular custom bar that I used in the training program for that because of this problem.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we talk a lot about mental resilience on this podcast, but let's talk about another type of resilience. That's movement resilience. We want to move well, recover better, and do it for life. And it starts with your feet. And you can start today with Naboso. Naboso is a sensory technology company founded by a functional podiatrist. And all their products feature a texture to stimulate, strengthen, and awaken your feet. I use their splay toe spacers and Neuroball to release my feet at the end of every day. They also have these textured recovery socks that feel like a mini massage when you walk around. If you're looking for an effective way to bulletproof your feet, head to Naboso.com, that's NABOSO.com, and use code RESILIENCE for 20% off.
And that's crazy that, like you said, we're talking about that. So it's like now we'll shift it to chapter 2. And chapter 2 is the creation of the Mac clamp, which is also another cool story. So I'll kind of give a little bit of history, not much, but in regards to how I am personally, even on a personal level and a business level. And Ali, obviously, fortunately and not so unfortunately, has seen in regards to how I am when it comes to business. And but business pertains to like life in general, like no excuses, like don't talk about it. If you say you're going to do it, commit, do it. All those.
Let's spend a little time with that.
Absolutely.
So, this is value is really in some of these side discussions. I mean, I want to tell the story of Mackey. I don't want to interrupt you on that, but I'm interested in your background in becoming an IFBB pro and the level of what do you look at, the discipline, the things as it relates to what you've learned in the gym, and how to overcome, the struggles, the challenges, and how do you face a non-standard environment. So you've got a very regimented, disciplined approach, which also creates behaviors in training, but a very non-regimented life if you're actually starting businesses on the side instead of being, somebody that's trying to get endorsements and cover enough so that they can focus solely on training. Very different. So I'm really interested in that because I had similar experiences in my profession. Like I was trying to be the strongest in the world, and everyone else was an athlete, a gym owner, maybe some training. And I was out there like with a family, full professional career. And it was just like, there's nobody out there. So tell me about that story.
It goes pretty deep, actually, and super deep, actually. And I'll even try not to get too emotional about it, but because Ali hadn't even seen this side, but it's very deep because it's coming up on a certain month, date as far as it goes. But at one point in my life, kind of like we said, I was bodybuilding, and spending my last dollar to, get my meals in, pay for registration, and thinking, because I started off in regards to bodybuilding being good, doing a local show as a novice, winning, and, thinking that I was just going to win every show after that. And I remember winning one show and then went to the next show and won another show. And then I went to nationals thinking I was going to go pro and I was going to get this contract and this. And I lost.
Yeah. All you got to do is you just get to that pro card time. Life's made. It's all works out, right? You just hit that milestone.
Not at all. And that's even a talk I even have with individuals because I mentor. Obviously I do a little bit of coaching when it comes to people's health, lifestyle, training if the person wants to compete, of course. And the only way I know how to be is genuine and just open in regards to, what I did and what I like to preach and show. And when I, discuss in regards to pursuing bodybuilding is a great goal and it's something that you can apply when it comes to everyday life. And, but it's like also have other, for one, make sure you can afford it, because I did it the other way at one point to where I did bodybuilding, and I went broke. And that didn't obviously work out so well. But as far as the ethic in regards to how this mentality and this drive and this force and this willpower came, it comes from a very deep place. My parents have been together for over 50 years. My mom and dad are still alive. My dad was military. He always raised us, my brother and I, which is 2 years older, to lift weights, eat protein, and all of the above. It just wasn't in me when I was young. It just it didn't really start to grow on me, honestly, until I went to college. And then I got more involved, of course. And I remember going in college from 180 pounds, and I just wanted to be over 200 pounds at that point. So I just remember eating, and I went from 180 to 240 pounds naturally. And I liked it, of course, and so working out at that point just kind of grew on me. Now, coming home after college, same thing. I was eating, I was training, started a couple things or two. I went from 240, then I got over to the 300 pound plus at that point. I remember being like 19 years old at that point, and people thought I was pro back then because I was just a big 300 plus guy. Yeah. At a young age and very strong, even at that point. So I was always known back then for being a big guy. I would go to the competitions and, I'd walk in, of course. I just liked being known as Big Joe. That's what people called me. And
quick question. Did you have those big calves back then too?
I did not. I remember I call him my mentor, a good friend of mine. It's crazy because I just remember one year my calves just blew up. Like I remember training them all the time, and like 3 months went by, nothing. 6 months went by, and literally it just seems like I woke up one day and it was like,
damn, that set yesterday really worked.
yeah, they're there. And I remember I noticed it. Then when you're really official, it's like when someone says, "How'd you get your calves like that?" Then I was like, "Oh, they are big." So, so honestly, I trained calves religiously all the time. At one point, they didn't grow on a week by week basis. And that's the honest truth. It just seems like one day I hit a growth spurt and they grew. So yeah, I'll take it. So, and overall, when it comes to, this place, I was in a relationship, of course. We had a child, a baby boy. He was born with a heart condition. He was born with hypoplastic left heart syndrome. The day after he was born, I remember going to the store to pick up a car seat, and I remember getting a call from my lady at the time, and she was crying, and I was like, "What's wrong?" She told me he has a heart condition and he is going to need open heart surgery. So I'm shocked, of course. I rush back to the hospital. We have a talk with the surgeon, and they did heart surgery on him. The next day, everything went smooth. Hypoplastic left heart syndrome, if you look it up, it'll show that you need surgery when the baby is born, because the left ventricle doesn't develop all the way. So they had to go in and create this system, and it's not common, but it's not rare neither. So he recovered. They had to do another, any person with this condition, you have to do another surgery at 3 months, and then another one at 3 years old. So, and I might have got that wrong. It might be 5 months, but he had his second surgery. He did well, made a full recovery. Months later, I get a call from my lady at the time that, just something seems off. So we take him into the hospital, of course, and then sure enough, he caught an infection. And it should have been something mild, but his body was really fighting one thing, and it would beat this, and then something else would come. His body was kind of fighting the surgery, in other words. So basically, long story short, I won't go into too much detail, but I saw my son in a hospital from 7 months to 10 months till he passed away. So when that happened, the things that I remember, which is why I'm so, and I think Ali knows this, but I've never gone into detail, but this is kind of specific in regards to like when people have come to me and asked me to do a documentary. These are some of the things that, of course, I want the audience to know, because, this is why I am at that point to where sometimes I don't like excuses. I don't like people that talk. I don't like complainers. I don't like, whiners. And it goes to a deeper place, which means me personally, obviously I saw my son fighting, right? I saw him as a little baby fighting every day of his life. And he didn't have a choice on him passing away. Obviously, I'm a man of God. My faith is high, of course. God wanted him up there with him. But I saw my son. I saw his power. I saw his strength. I saw everything that he went through. And I saw, like, even when they had to do a surgery on him again, I at that point was just like, man, they're tearing him up. They're cutting him up. And I would see him recover, and I would still come in there a week or two later. I would see my son every day, but I would still, once he fully recovers, and I see a smile on his face. He's still smiling, because it's just like, man, he's still fighting. So when I hear someone, talk about, and here's the thing, mental health, it's a real deal. Depression is a real deal, of course. I'm a great listener, right? And these things that happen, bad things happen in all of our lives, right? And the way I describe these things is like, you have a choice in regards to when these things take place. You can either go left or you can go right. Left is chaos, dark place. It happens. I temporarily went there, right? When that happened, I got in trouble. I was looking for trouble. I would go out. I would go to bars. I would go to clubs. I wouldn't look for trouble, but I would welcome it, which means if someone said something or did something, it's like, okay, now I get to, take it out on this person or whatever the case is. And that got me in trouble. That got me in jail a couple nights from being in fights, beating people up. And I remember one time I was in jail from beating someone else. And I just remember reflecting and thinking, like, my son wouldn't be happy with what I'm doing. Yeah. And it was at that point. And here's the deal. I remember the lady I was with at the time. It's so many things that took place back then after that happened. I've always said this because it's like I've been in situations to where I've had someone, try to rob me, pull a gun on me. I've had situations to where I say this, I should either be dead or in prison. Okay? Seriously. And I remember her being with me at that point, and she was around a lot of things back then. And she would always say, "You're the luckiest person I know. Like, you're like the stuff I've seen with you," she was like, "You're just lucky." And things would happen to her. I'm just like, man, I would scratch my head and think, how is that? Like, why didn't that happen? Or how am I still here? And I said, it's a bigger story. December 17th is when he passed away. So obviously December, the day is coming up. I haven't even told Ali this as far as that goes, but I'm saying this because it's like every year, and you know, even though this happened in 2010, it doesn't necessarily get any easier, but this is also when I turn it on more. This is when I usually break PRs. This is usually when business exceeds even more. It's when, for sure, if someone is like, "Oh, I'm tired," or this, like I can't be around that. But it's also, I'm also very selective in regards to the group and people I surround myself with that are, you know, like this. Like, we all have things that happen in our life, and that's why I said at the end of the day, it's based off of how we handle those things that take place. And, you know, at the end of the day, I feel like, you know, it's okay to be down. You're going to get kicked down a couple times. And I know Rocky has a saying, but it's like, what's the saying? It's not, I mean, help me out, guys. It's not how hard you get kicked. It's about basically staying down. I don't know the word for word, but it's like, I 100% agree with that, because it's like, you're going to get kicked. It's going to hurt. And it's honestly your choice if you decide to stay down or use it and get your ass back up and go. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's a really powerful story.
Absolutely.
And my takeaways from that are, you know, just acknowledgement of there's things outside of our control. There's things that happen to us or those around us. And trying to hide from those and run from those doesn't work. You know, accepting that. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that you can't be positive. Mm-hmm. Hey, my son is dying, or maybe myself, right? And being able to go, I'm thankful and grateful, though, of where I'm at now and what I can have from this opportunity, because I still have the beauty of being able to see him smile when he's in that bed, to be able to have that moment and understand, even though your short time with him, you know, was 10 months, is to have that in your life so that you are focused on more important things and the smaller minutia of things that were in there before. You understand that. And I felt that depth in our first conversations, and why, you know, our relationship has moved as fast as just how straightforward you are. Like, no nonsense. Here's where we're at. And I reciprocate, because I've got similar philosophy and approach and experiences.
There's one thing I always say, not to cut you off, Chris, but it's like, I feel like you can always look in a person's eyes, even though we haven't met in person until now. But I told Ali this. I said, he's got that, you know, look in his eyes, and I have developed great relationships.
I haven't been looking at your calves that way yet. So.
But you know, it just goes in regards to where it's like, similar instincts usually tend to bond, you know, together as far as that goes. And I really respect that as well too.
Yeah. So that's what I took from that. And thank you for sharing. And I got another calf story to lighten it up. So this is when I knew I had good calves.
Yep. Absolutely.
I'm in Australia, and we've got all the best from around the world there competing. Yep. And I'm warming up. Dan Green's warming up. Eddie Cohn's warming up. Zahir's warming up. We're all there in the same area. And Dan looks over at me and he's like, "Dang, what do you do in your training to get calves that big?" Yeah. I can see Ed Cohn stop, and he's listening too. And I'm like, shit, I'm going to remember this moment. Yeah. I got Dan Green ask me about my calves, and Ed Cohn listening in. I'm like, absolutely, that's a moment.
Absolutely. That's crazy, man, because it's, I remember when the first time Dan Green reached out, and it's freaking Dan Green, you know? Yeah. And, you know, coming into this industry as well, too, and seeing Ed Cohn reach out, and I was just like, man, not in a million years. And, you know, that's a whole nother topic as far as it goes. But it's like, man, having conversations, you know, that's even probably another subject we're going to talk about in regards to generation. Like, I was raised in this generation to where it's like, I respect the ones that have been there and done it. You know, even on the bodybuilding side, I remember being young and trying to rush to the gym to meet Johnny Jackson and Branch Warren. And if I saw them, and I did at one point, I would just stand back and just, you know, watch and wait for the perfect time. And obviously, respect. Yes, sir. No, sir. Excuse me, sir. I didn't walk up with, hey, bro, or, sometimes this generation really just kind of makes you shake my head a little bit, of course. But it's like, there was just, my dad always taught me growing up as a kid to obviously, and it was a natural thing for me to do, to show respect to the people who have been there. And I'm still like that now to this day, even coming up on this power side with doing these lifts that I've done. Like when I've had contact with these people, Ed Cohn, Dan Green, still remember when CT reached out, it was just like, man, like I don't care how good I am in something or how popular I am or known, like, and there's still a couple on my list where I'm waiting for them to reach out too. So then it's like, but at the same time, when I meet or talk to them as well too, it's like, it's not about being like starstruck, but it's just a level of respect to where it's like, man, like this is cool. Like, thank you. And, so that's cool that you mentioned those guys for sure. Cause I've always had huge amount of respect for you guys have been there and done it. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's something I've definitely enjoyed after being in the sport for a while, is getting to meet the people that I have and the people that really stick with it in the long term. There's a lot of churn of newer people, the next hot thing, the next. Oh, they're going to be, but so many people come in and out and they don't have the longevity of understanding. This is not an instant gratification. No. You can blow up big, you can start lifting big, but to be in this game long term, it's decades. Decades. And that's where I think that there's a lot to learn. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people don't learn in the gym. They learn in the gym, but they don't learn how to apply that outside. And that's why I was interested in having our conversation. And also at the same time, watching you work with Ollie, who's incredibly skilled. I've seen his work. But in this space of moving, from engineering to entrepreneur and business, and how that experience has been for you, Ollie, as well as like what you've been able to learn from Joe over the course of this.
Yeah, pretty interesting. You said learning from Joe. There's a joke that I've made about Joe, and it's the it's kind of a joke, and I've seen him do his thing. Since we've created the clamp, we've gone to different people, different investors, different manufacturers, and somehow when Joe gets a hold of something and he focuses on it, and he talked about what his drive is, which I didn't know. Which makes a lot of sense now. And so when Joe gets a hold of something and that drive that he puts into it, I call that the Joe magic. It's the Joe, because it is like because I'm an engineer, right? We are people who go to school and then we go into a cubicle, into an office, and we get really, really good at designing and doing little things, and we are in our bubble. And to come out,
working outside of that zone is really challenging for a lot of engineers. I've
seen it.
Yeah. And Joe will testify to that, because he is always on, because he's a businessman, right? And the easiest part about the Mac clamps was the designing of it for me, right? And like any other business, the hardest part is getting your product out there and selling it. And that's why we partner up with Joe Mackey, right? And we're trying to get some of that Joe magic on the Mac clamps. And honestly, we've been on a rocket ship. The product has been launched for 5 months now. It's only been 5 months, and we're making huge strides. And that is thanks to, of course, the design itself is robust. Without a doubt, it is the world's strongest barbell clamp.
There, we got it up on the site right now. Or on the page.
Yeah.
So
this is our Christmas version. We've Christmased it up for the spirit, and
I love it. That looks like some high quality production you've ggot on there. Mighty impressed.
Yeah, we have a guy named Mustafa out of Dallas, and he's our go-to guy when it comes to creating quality content. And thank you, I appreciate it. There's a lot of work. I make the website myself. I'm the technical guy, right? And so the clamp itself being exceptional is one thing, but getting it out to the world, that's where you need the Joe magic, like I was saying. And that's, Joe brought that to the table and killed it, honestly, right? So this is why we're good partners, because I take care of the technical side and he takes care of everything else that needs to be done, aka the business side.
Tell them about whenever.
Guys, and what's been scary in that process for you? Tell me about some moments where you've been like, I don't know, I'm not ready for this. Like I'm a little scared.
Tell them about. I'll answer that. Then I'll let you answer and feed off of it. But it's when we had the clamp design, the first model, which at that point had 3 mechanisms, right? And it had a different set of contact patches. And we tested it. We did a lot of testing on this clamp to get it where it is right now. And we tested it one day at the gym, and it failed. And I was not happy because it was probably less than a week away when I had to go lift with Larry Wills. And I wanted to clamp there with me and Larry to obviously show Larry.
That'd be some good hype material. Yes.
Yeah.
He's a hype machine of, he's got to follow. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, you want that.
100%.
This is a moment.
Yes.
We want to own this moment.
Oh, 100%. And we tested it out literally days, maybe a week before I was headed out there to LA. And the clamp failed with the test that we did. Was not happy. Ali knew it. And I asked Ali, I said, why? Why did it fail? And Ali, obviously, like you say, is very technical engineering, of course. Starts giving me the breakdown and the, specs and this and the percentage ratio, the whole 9. And, the degree of freedom, all of this. And it's basically to where I was asking Ali, why is the clamp failing? It's what I want to know. And he's like, well, it's a possibility that it might be the bar or it might be this. And I was upset. And I was like, I won't say exactly what I said, but I have always treated Ali with respect. But he knows if I start cursing, I'm not mad at him, just the principle. And it was basically at a point to where it's like, this is not acceptable. We're not going to take a product and put it into the market of it possibly being the best or possibly holding up to what it's supposed to do. And I said, go back. Like, we got to go back and fix it. It's not going to work. And he either that day or the next day called me, and he created a solution, and we brought it back to the gym, and it was stupid strong.
Yeah. Is that the current clamping force that is like,
yes.
How many times over the top clamping force in the industry?
It is twice as strong as the IWF competition collars, and those are the 2.5 kilograms that you've seen in competition. Now ours, of course, is exactly 1 pound, and it's twice as strong. The holding force, and by holding force I mean how much force does it take to make the clamp slide. The one we've tested, we've not just done calculations, we've actually done physical testing to back up our claims. It's between 2,500 and 2,800 pounds, depending on how hard you can tighten it. And that is, like I said, twice as strong as second best. And we haven't published this, but we've tested all the clamps that were on the market. And on average, these clamps can hold between 400 and 600 pounds. Some of the big names that we're not going to mention here, that's how much they hold. And unfortunately, those are temporary as well, like car tires made out of rubber. Rubber needs to be replaced. So when Joe says, yeah.
Nobody talks about the repairable, and they don't give you or even tell you how to do, like it's a replacement item. Like there's wearable components, right? And a lot of the clamps.
Correct. And that is one thing we took advantage of.
Architects, if you want to build more physical resilience in your life, you need to start with a firm foundation. That's why I only wear Bearfoot shoes. Their wide toe box, zero drop heel, and flexible frames allow me to comfortably strengthen my foot every day while promoting optimal body mechanics, postural alignment, and movement. Listeners can get 10% off by using the code RESILIENCE at barefoot.store. That's BEAR foot.store for 10% off with code RESILIENCE. Start improving how you move today with Bearfoot shoes.
You made a good point that these clamps are supposed to be a reusable item, right? And these companies who make these clamps take advantage of that because it gets them reoccurring sales. And we wanted to put an end to that. And this is why you guys can see here on the screen the serviceable design section. That's on our website as well. In the top, you can see the contact patches, which are those 3 black squares. That's what makes contact with the barbell. And you can replace and remove those when they wear out. You just take that ring out, that silver ring. You don't need a special tool for it, just a screwdriver. And that is something that we created to enhance the lifting community in terms of a product that we've developed.
Yeah, and so that style of that hardened bite material like that is the same one used in machining applications where you're putting, I mean, incredible forces of these machine tools to machine titanium and aluminum, where you're clamping that into, you know, giant multi-million-dollar machines that are grabbing a piece of material and can flow it. It looks like a little piece of material, but I know the design on what's here, and I've seen your designs with the hardness specs and the bite. Same, it's like this mighty bite style that is being used in those industrial applications. That is freaking insane strong. People don't know like just what that is.
Yeah.
And so I feel I need to point that out.
Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. And you know, that's exactly what the MAC clamps are. The MAC clamps are taking advantage of some of the standards in the industry that already exist and bringing them into the lifting community, so we can have higher quality training. And essentially, that's been the goal.
Yeah, the interface, I mean, that is literally like 75 years ahead of what other people are using. Yeah.
Well, you know, the first time we made the MAC clamps, we felt like we've done something here, and it was great. And I kind of want to bring up the thing we tried in the Mad Scientist lab. That bar. Yeah, because that is also 75 years ahead of its time. Tell us about that, if you can.
Yeah, so I had to put Joe and Ollie through the paces. Well, actually, we're just touring the science lab, you know, because why not? And they're like, what is that thing with some wood on it? And I'm like, well, that's the newest version of the transformer bar that's taken it to another level. So Ollie had goosebumps. He's like, I can't load my back squat heavy because of back, you know, pump pain problems. Can't train it that often. I'm like, here, try this out. Let me set it on this setting. And so anybody that has a current transformer bar, we're going to have some components that that you can upgrade back to this version. It's going to be so you can get some of the same effects. So it's backwards compatible. Some of the features like what you experienced. But there's also the bar design itself has some innovative changes. So yeah, it's for our audience. If you're not familiar with the transformer bar, we're able to manipulate spinal mechanics and change how we load the muscles and tissues and joints and allow you to be able to train a lot more frequently with more volume. And the squatting on the new version, you have everybody I've had, I mean, just beautiful squats. We'll have to, I know you'll be sharing on social media, like the pictures and videos we took, because you're ass to fucking grass with perfect position. And yeah, you go ahead and tell about like what you guys were feeling, because that's interesting.
Yeah, and you know, obviously, I'm an Olympic weightlifter, right? I do snatches and clean and jerks, and to supplement those, thanks, Joe. Yeah, to supplement those, we do squats, ass to grass squats, and that is the best way to get specific strength in those positions. And I have extremely long femurs, which is uncommon for an Olympic lifter. My femurs are longer than my torso. So you could imagine that most of the squats I do are good morning squats by nature. And I have tried... That's how that works based on your femur and torso length. I mean, you can see it in the chair you're at right now, right? Yeah. It's it makes me a really fast runner, but a terrible squatter.
Yes.
And I've tried these bars before that, you know, shift the center of gravity, but after trying that one that you showed me, and you know, it didn't work for me. It just was too uncomfortable. It didn't make any sense. Now after the bar that we've tried up there, and are they coming out soon? But
they should be out in January. Yeah.
Okay, see, January, new year, new me.
That's right.
And you're right. I'm going to post about it because I'm going to be one of the first people buying that bar. And from Olympics point of view, and you know, the back pain, I'm a lifter. I'm limited by the amount of volume I can do. And you know, that's hindering me from getting to the next level. And with that bar, that setup that you gave me, I can do probably 150% of my current volume. And that is plenty. If I had to, I mean, I don't even know if there are any drugs out there that can get your performance that high. And this is just a bar.
I'm glad you get this. So many people, they like, oh, I'm not in, whatever pain. I don't need that. I'm young. Or that just doesn't connect with them. And the fact that you understand, like, and you said that right away. You're like, I'm buying this. Can I be first on this list? Like, I'm going to be able to squat a lot more. And that's what I need to do. And that's what my coach, like, I'm glad you understand, like, that concept and how that rolls into place. Because a lot of people aren't grasped, like, our bars are performance enhancers. Like, that's the point. Like, what was your experience with it?
Well, I'll just say this: it's kind of you kind of hit the nail on the head in regards to, because I've tried other things before, similar bars as far as it goes, and it's the concept when I did this bar, for one, not having any forward momentum going down and be able to really activate the quads at the bottom and going to a deep squat, and also without having any knee pain, because literally I like my right knee, and I don't care about making this known or whatever the case is, but I at most times I stay away from these guys as far as it goes, and usually when it comes to leg day, I have to warm my knee. I think you saw the first set of squats I did. I was very...
The first one you did a quarter, because you were very tentative, and I knew. I'm like, there's something going on.
That was that.
And then Ollie jumped on there, like, let me try that again. And yeah, you could tell the surprise.
100%. And so long story short, when are we having this bar again?
You know what that's going to do for your leg. So this is going to be innovation in bodybuilding.
100%.
Become like that
The volume.
Oh, yeah.
The volume.
And the muscle engagement too, right?
100%.
You both noticed that.
Oh, yeah.
That
Can I talk about
that?
Yeah. So the muscle engagement that you mentioned. So as an Ollie lifter, we understand that the movement of your body starts with the hips. It starts from the hips and goes out to the extremities, right? So every movement that starts with the core. So it's your hips and your spine. And the glutes are the biggest muscle. So any movement that you do in the Olympic lifting, like a snatch or a clean and jerk, squat, the contraction has to start with the hip, aka the glutes, and move throughout the rest of the body, propagate. And I've had such a hard time trying to get glute activation, proper glute activation. Mind you, I can burn out my glute medius, minimus, piriformis, every muscle except for the glute maximus, which is the performance of the human body, is the glute maximus. And this is why I had goosebumps. 2 squats, guys. It took 2. I had 1 plate on each side, like it was 135, right? And I was like, wow. I activated my glutes on the outside of my leg, which I have not been able. It would take me 45 minutes of warming up to even get to that point, and I had that within 2 squats. And that's just amazing how personalized you can make it. And back to bodybuilding, if you want to, for the ladies that do bikini wellness, right? And for their lower body is very important in those groups. So that's something that they can take advantage of in the bodybuilding as well, especially the ladies, right, Joe?
Yeah. And Chris, you said something very specific. A problem that I always have 100% of the time is that pain in my lower back, that inflammation, that, I squatted heavy and my back is flamed up. My legs, not so much, but my back, and it's like, can you explain that to me as far as?
Yeah. So, and I think in your realm too, it's not necessarily like the pain sometimes so much as the pump is what I see with those,
exactly.
with bodybuilders, right? So, because bodybuilders have a lot of ways of enhancing their blood flow. They've built it into their physiology. And so you see them start training and their muscles just blow up.
Exactly.
Well, because of the breakdown in patterns due to the position changes, that thoracolumbar musculature in the back, like those right below the TL junction, like all that, you'll see hypertonicity, and it's ready. And as soon as that starts pumping, that pump creates so much pressure and problems. And it's not like, oh, my back hurts, but it's like throbbing and like it's this pump. And so people, it's like, oh, well, I can't. And some people like change their supplementation on the day of, just because it's like, I don't want to take a vasodilator before a leg day because I won't be able to. I'll be too pumped to do my workout.
100%.
And that's going to be entirely inhibitive to your training, because now you can't train these big mass generating, muscles or power generating muscles, like glute, if you're an athlete, right? So yeah, if we can get the body in the good positions where those aren't on and get overused early and fatigue out with that big pump,
Yep.
you can just keep going.
100%.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Incredible.
But the one thing is, the weights were sliding off the bar.
Yeah.
So I think the best barbells need the best clamps. So I'm really excited to see what we can come up with.
100%. It sounds like we're all into the same business with innovative techniques in regards to what we're going to be doing going forward. So sounds like we need to.
So tell me a little bit more about your current journey as it relates to bodybuilding and this 1,000-pound deadlift, and where you see the future ahead of you, and what challenges you anticipate.
I actually wrote about that on my feed yesterday because we've been talking briefly, today, and I've seen how your mind is a machine, and I noticed that with myself just in a different way, and that's how it is with power, bodybuilding, business, marketing. I don't even see it as I take marketing out because these things that happen naturally, and it's not for attention or clout or whatever. It's because I enjoy it, I love it, of course, and it just creates. I feel like obviously the audience, sees the passion behind it, of course, and obviously the excitement, of course, and I talked about this on my feed the other day in regards to it's literally like the best of all worlds because of I never wanted to just be a bodybuilder with a good physique. I never wanted to be just powerful or strong. Coming up as a bodybuilder, I remember hearing it and thinking well I can achieve that because back when they talked about bodybuilding when I was coming up was, bodybuilders aren't strong. And back then I was thinking, well, I think I'm pretty fairly strong, but it's like, I always want to be known as, I'm a bodybuilder, but I still want to be a powerhouse. Like, I used to love going to the gym and, being known as one of the strongest in the gym with having a bodybuilder-like type physique. So, and that's still what lives in me now to this point. I have this goal of now, we've done 910 pounds on a kabuki bar at CT Fletcher's event last year. And now this year, we're going for bigger goals as far as that goes. But also want to do it in regards to complementing the physique that I have as a professional bodybuilder. And I'll be honest with you, I have tested the waters in regards to, I have this 880-pound deadlift coming up. Let me go eat. And, I gained weight. And I remember I did a deadlift, and I was about 290-something pounds. I had gained like 12, 13 pounds in like a month or whatever. And I was like, okay, let me see how this feels. And I didn't like it. I noticed because with myself, I have noticed that where my max period is in regards to what my max strength is, and it's usually around, and it has a lot to do with the way I look and a gauge of where my weight is at, which is honestly between 275 and 282, and in good shape. So, and it's like, and that's the thing as well too, because it's like if I look at myself now, and I look at myself last year or the year before that, or whatever the case is, and I say this all the time, it's like, you can't help but to get bigger or put on muscle mass or muscle tissue when you're eating protein, eating your meals, lifting heavy. And, and I heard it as well too. I heard my buddy say at the gym the other day that, is a real straight shooter. He's like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you're looking bigger than ever. And I was like, I'm not doing nothing. Like, I'm eating and I'm training. He's like, you need to get your butt on stage because, like, you're even bigger than where you were last year. And in my head, I've known this for years to where it's like, yeah, your body, I don't see it myself, but I guess maybe other people do, of course, and it just happens year after year until I back off of food in regards to where I'm not eating X amount of meals a day. And obviously, supplementation and then training as well, too. The body's just going to keep evolving, and so now it's like where we going forward. It's like, you know, and I wrote about this to where I'm going to go for this stupid, crazy amount deadlift. Why? Because I feel mentally driven that I know I can do it. I feel the power is there. Obviously, we both know, and we all know you gotta be a little crazy as well too. And it's like that's a whole nother topic in regards to like the mental side of it, which Ali will tell you how I am every lift when it's coming down to a big lift. It's you know, I'll let him tell you that because it's obviously that's a whole nother story, which I'm sure you can. Actually, I've seen your video, so it's like I already know, and that's why it's so cool, man. Because it's just like, yeah, go ahead, man. I'll keep talking.
I think that's just a really great point to pull everything home here today, and that story to me articulates some great things. So, Joe, all that conversation, what I'm hearing is everything that you do in your life via being a bodybuilding, crafting within that space, bodybuilding, strength, crafting as it relates to business, all this it's a big creative outlet, right? Hey, the architect, right? You are the architect of many things in your life, and that gives you a vast level of outputs to create that in ways that didn't exist for others and to create your own fashion of that. But what Joe is doing is also running that through his lens. His lens of his values. And this is the really important lesson there for me, and listen to this, is how powerful that is, because it's easy when you're multi-talented and you're a creative person to get lost in too many things. And sometimes like, how do I know what to focus on, when to focus it on? So this is where having your values set, your intentions in the world. So values, another word for intentions, but it's what you use as your filtering device. And so it's really important to understand that for anybody that is wanting to mark change, to create, you know, themselves and to fashion the world around them, is to do exactly as Joe is doing. Experiment in those different realms. Don't be held by any boundaries. Respect the past, but then use your own, what is your unique set of values as your lens for all of that. And so I really appreciate you sharing your stories as they relate to that. Hopefully I'm not off point in my assessment of what I'm hearing here. But
I'm just like, man, it's like, I honestly, with all of us here, I feel like we could talk for 7 days straight because there's so much. And it's like, I'm leaving some stuff out just so I don't talk too much, but it's absolutely. I mean, you're right on the point as far as goes. And I know once I get started, I talk. So yeah.
That's where I'm thinking it's a good point. Ollie, did you have any last words that you want to put in here?
You know, I've known your work has been pretty inspiring, and I've went and bought your book to read it and actually get into it. Right. I don't want to be an outsider looking in. I want to get into the mind, and you know, I know the things that you do online. So, would you mind signing a book for me real quick? I have it right here.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
Also.
So,
pretty sweet.
All right.
Here we go. I really appreciate that. And you know, and I thought it would be appropriate since we're here, you know, at the Architect of Resistance.
What better place? It's gonna be great. Yeah.
I'll leave Mackey Innovation.
Could you make it out to Mackey Innovations, please?
Okay.
Yes.
Because we want to, as a company, use those principles that you speak about. Really appreciate that. And, you know, this makes it really unique for us because now we have Chris's book, you know, signed on the podcast. Maybe we should put this book up for auction on eBay.
We're keeping it.
And you know, Joe and I, we have a company archive where we keep all the stories and the funny things and the cool things that happen on our journey with Mackey Innovations. And
I think I spelled calf wrong, but that's even better.
So thank you. So this book is definitely going into
to Mackey Innovations. Let's live better through strength. Calf friends forever.
Thank you. So this is going to go in our company archive for sure after I get done reading it on my flight back home.
All right.
So really appreciate it, sir.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, I want to, anybody that wants to check out and join on our Discord community, you know, follow the links on the Architect for Resilience podcast on that. Hoping to have Joe and Ollie provide an assignment related to some of the topics that we had this week around creative expression in the entrepreneurial way. So check out that. This week is extra special for our endless assignment. We've got two guests on, really great individuals in their own rights and are creating a tremendous business as well that I love to hear more about. And I'm really excited to hear about what they've got in store and would like you to task yourself with this week.
I think a lot of it, what I've personally done, and I've been fortunate enough to be around some really great mentors coming up, and it really came down to self-evaluating. And it even starts with the smallest things. And even this is another funny conversation because I've had these talks with Ali, but you can take something small, like, you know, saying, I remember having a conversation with a lifter at the gym, and I asked him, I said, he was getting ready for a powerlifting meet, and I said, what are you going to hit at the meet this weekend? And he says, oh, I'm going to try to do this, I'm going to try to do this, and I'm going to, you know, if this happens, then I'm trying to do that. And I said, stop. I said, you just failed. And I was like, he's like, what do you mean? I said, first of all, tell yourself what you're going to do. I'm trying not to curse, but I just get real passionate about this. But it's like, take all of the little, I'm trying to do this, maybe I'll do this, you know, if this happens, whatever the case is. I have never achieved anything in life by saying I'm going to go try to do this, or maybe if this happens, then hopefully this will take, hopefully maybe try. Those little keywords like that, I don't even use them. I don't even like them. I'll even tell you straight up, you know, he's shaking his head right now, because not in regards to business or what we're doing, but just in regards to other things that we've talked about as far as it goes, to where those little key words like that make a huge difference to just self-evaluation and your forward momentum with doing things in life. So I'm big on law of attraction. I'm big on seeing the vision. Every big lift I've always done, I've always posted it, and I've always told my audience, not from being arrogant or cocky, but it's a certain mental aggression with anything in life to where I've said, I'm going to have that. I'm going to do that. Any big lift, I would announce it. And it got to a point to where it's trending, to where I would say, I'm going to lift 850 pounds for 3 reps this week. And then you would see the comments. Well, if Joe said it, that means he's going to do it. Not because I'm strong or power, whatever the case is, because it's got to the point now to where I don't speak in regards to I'm going to try, or maybe if I say something, it's going to happen. And that's in regard. And obviously, you know, take that with a grain of salt. I'm not over here saying I'm going to lift 1,500 pounds. I mean, realistic, of course, you know, but it's in regards to, I see the image and I see the visual, and I'm talking about when it comes to success, when it comes to lifting, when it comes to business, when it comes to something that I'm particularly somewhat in control of based off the work and effort that I put in. I will see the vision and I'll create it, but I always tell myself that it's going to happen as well too. So basically what you take from that is always see it, tell yourself what's going to happen, and then do it and proceed. And obviously take the necessary steps to get it done as well too.
So your assignment from Joe this week, pick something gnarly that you've got as a goal and make a statement about it in advance. Put that out there.
So for my thing, and I think a lot of people can relate, me being in the position that I am, coming so far, maybe even into the public light, has been a decision that I made. And the first decision was to quit my full-time job. And it was to pursue a dream of starting a business and creating a company that can not only make money, but also provide a solution and a help to the hobbies and the passions that I have, which is the fitness and strength community. And the challenge that I want to present you guys to think about, at least for the next while, is to ask yourself, what are some fears that you have about your grandiose goals that are holding you back? And to share, my fear was to quit my full-time job. And, you know, as an engineer, you spend 4 years going to college, and these are 4 hard years. And I did 2 years of graduate school, and I got my certificates and degrees. and you've put so much into just engineering, and you get to a point where to be better, you have to become more than your career. And with the mentorship of Joe Mackey, I decided to take that leap and jump out of my career into the entrepreneurship world. And that was a scary thing to do. If I had to describe the feeling, it was fear.
That is tremendous. I absolutely love that piece, Ollie. And I can feel it as you tell the story. It's giving me goosebumps for today, because I actually just got yesterday a book from Dr. Michael Gervais, high performance psychologist, and it literally says that fear of, is the number one thing that holds back innovation in the world today and holds you back. So thank you. So your task this week is to journal that big. So again, we've got a gnarly accomplishable goal that you're going to make a statement about and go do. And then we've got that bigger life-altering dream that you have. You're going to journal your 3 fears around what would happen if you did that. All right. Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen. That's fantastic.